Most seniors believe they are ready to retire, but over 70% will stumble into hidden traps that steal their savings, shrink their income, and force them back to work when they least expect it. The shocking truth is this: many people don't even realize the danger until it's too late. They sit back, thinking their nest egg or pension is enough, but hidden fees, rising costs, and overlooked risks quietly drain their security year after year. If you can't answer yes to 6 simple questions, your retirement could already be collapsing, and you may not even see it coming. That's the terrifying part. The traps don't show up in big flashing lights. They creep in slowly, disguised as normal expenses, ordinary decisions, and advice you've been told to trust. This isn't about hitting a magic number. Millions of people with 6 or even 7 figures in savings have discovered too late that it doesn't matter if their money isn't protected from the silent dangers waiting after their last paycheck. Inflation eats at their income, medical bills strike when they least expect it, and tax rules can quietly take back more than they ever imagined. The retirement you thought you earned can turn into a maze of bills and stress if you're not careful. That's why this video matters. I'm going to walk you through 6 crucial questions. If you can confidently answer yes to each one, you can retire with real peace of mind. But if even one answer is no, you're standing on a shaky foundation. Hit like so more seniors can avoid these traps, and subscribe for weekly strategies the banks won't share with you. And stay tuned, because question 4 is the one that shocks nearly every retiree, and it's the trap almost no one prepares for. Oswald Greaves. The name alone carries weight, unusual, memorable, and hard to forget. At 64, Oswald had just stepped away from his long career as a postmaster. For 4 decades, he woke before dawn, handled letters, checks, and parcels, and earned the reputation of being reliable, steady, and careful. He wasn't a man of extravagance. He didn't chase luxury cars or 5-star vacations. Instead, he poured his energy into raising his family and saving every extra dollar he could. By the time he locked his office for the last time, Oswald had built up what many would call an impressive nest egg: $800,000 in savings, a modest pension, and a fully paid-off home. To him, that sounded like freedom. He believed retirement was simple math: work hard, save diligently, hit the magic number, and enjoy the rest of your life. But here's the part that almost destroyed his confidence. What Oswald thought was enough nearly collapsed under the weight of hidden traps. He soon learned that retirement isn't just about how much you have, but how prepared you are for the silent risks waiting in the shadows. Rising prices didn't care about his careful planning. Taxes he hadn't expected suddenly showed up in his mailbox. And the medical safety net he assumed would cover him revealed dangerous gaps. His story is not unique, but it is a wake-up call. The misleading idea that a big savings account equals total security is one of the most dangerous myths seniors fall for. Oswald found this out the hard way. The cracks in his plan didn't come from laziness or poor discipline. They came from blind spots, the ones no one ever warned him about. And that's where his journey becomes your guide. So let's walk through the 6 critical questions. At each step, you'll see exactly how Oswald's answers revealed truths he never considered, and how adjusting his approach turned near disaster into real freedom. His mistakes, his realizations, and his solutions may be the key to protecting your own retirement. Question 1. Do you truly know your real retirement number? If you think $1 million guarantees freedom, you're already in danger. That line alone stops many seniors in their tracks. 4 years, financial magazines, TV pundits, and even casual conversations at family gatherings have all repeated the same phrase: if you can just save $1 million, you'll be set for life. It sounds comforting, doesn't it? A clean, round number. A finish line that feels concrete. But here's the hidden truth: $1 million doesn't guarantee peace of mind. In fact, it can collapse faster than you think. Why? Because retirement isn't about a pile of money sitting in the bank. It's about what that pile can do for you month after month, year after year. A lump sum means nothing if your expenses outpace your income. If you're pulling out $60,000 per year and the market dips, or inflation creeps higher, that so-called magic number shrinks before your eyes. $1 million can vanish in less than 20 years if the math isn't working in your favor. And if you live longer than expected, which, By the way, many seniors do, the risk is even greater. This is exactly what happened to Oswald Greaves. When he retired at 64 with $800,000, he thought he had achieved the dream. He felt proud. He had lived within his means, avoided reckless debt, and finally stepped into the life he thought would be worry-free. But within just 2 years, Oswald found himself staring at his bank statements with a knot in his stomach. His golden ticket was shrinking faster than he ever imagined. It wasn't the vacations that drained him. It wasn't shopping sprees or luxury cars. It was the quiet, invisible rise of everyday costs. Gasoline prices creeping upward, groceries doubling in price over a decade, utility bills inching higher year after year. The problem wasn't his discipline. It was the flawed belief that hitting a single number meant he was untouchable. The misleading myth of the magic million nearly cost him his confidence and almost forced him to return to work. The truth is, retirement security comes from predictable, stable cash flow, not just savings. Think of it this way: would you rather have $1 million in the bank that's draining quickly, or $4,000 guaranteed every month for life that covers your bills no matter what? For most seniors, peace comes from knowing the lights will stay on, the fridge will stay full, and medical bills can be paid without panic. That's why Oswald had to shift his thinking. Instead of focusing on a lump sum, he built a retirement budget tied to predictable income streams, Social Security, his small pension, and eventually an annuity that provided a steady monthly check. That structure gave him back his confidence, because it wasn't about how big the pot was, but how reliable the flow was. And here's where you come in. If you can't confidently say yes to this first question, do I truly know my real retirement number? Then you might be walking in Oswald's shoes. Not knowing doesn't mean you've failed, it means you've been handed the same dangerous myth he once believed. The good news is, you can flip the script today. Start by mapping out your true expenses down to the dollar. Then match them against guaranteed sources of income, Social Security, pensions, annuities, or safe withdrawal strategies. Retirement freedom doesn't come from chasing a headline number. It comes from building a system that keeps paying you, no matter how long you live. That's the lesson Oswald learned, and it's the very first step to avoiding the traps that snare so many retirees. Have you ever wondered if your number is really enough? Drop your thoughts in the comments. You might be surprised at how many people feel the same uncertainty. Question 2. Are you safe from the Social Security timing trap? Claiming Social Security at 62 is like burning thousands of dollars in lifetime benefits. That statement feels extreme, but the numbers prove it's not far from the truth. Many seniors rush to claim their benefits the moment they hit 62, fearing the money might vanish or that they might not live long enough to enjoy it. It's an understandable fear. After all, you've worked your entire life for this safety net. But here's the catch: claiming early permanently locks you into a smaller check for the rest of your life. For some, that reduction can be as much as 25 to 30% less than what you'd receive if you waited. And that cut doesn't just hit you, it can affect a surviving spouse's benefits, too. Now, does that mean waiting is always the best decision? Not necessarily. Health and family history matter. If you're battling serious medical conditions or your family has a history of shorter lifespans, taking benefits earlier might make sense. But for many seniors, especially those who live into their late 70s, 80s, or beyond, the difference between claiming at 62 and waiting until full retirement age, or even until 70, can add up to hundreds of thousands of dollars in lost income. Oswald Greaves almost fell into this trap. At 62, fear whispered in his ear, "Take the money now. What if the system runs out? What if you don't live long enough?" The thought of losing something he had earned made him restless. For weeks, he debated filing the paperwork. But with guidance, he hesitated just long enough to do the math. By waiting until his full retirement age, his checks increased by nearly a third. By choosing to delay further, they grew even more. That decision gave him not only larger monthly payments but also peace of mind, knowing he wasn't leaving money on the table. The misleading belief that you should take Social Security as soon as possible has robbed countless retirees of financial stability. It preys on fear, on uncertainty, on the idea that the system can't be trusted. While it's true that no benefit is guaranteed forever, the math shows that patience often pays. For Oswald, waiting meant he could cover essentials like groceries and utilities without dipping heavily into his savings. His income was sturdier, his withdrawals smaller, and his future brighter. So how do you protect yourself from this timing trap? Start by running a break-even analysis. This calculation shows you the age at which delaying benefits begins to pay off compared to claiming early. For many, the break-even point is around age 78 to 80. If you expect to live beyond that, waiting often puts you ahead. Add in the fact that benefits grow about 8% per year between full retirement age and 70, and you see why patience can be powerful. Another step is to coordinate with your spouse. For married couples, claiming strategies can affect survivor benefits. If the higher earner delays, it not only increases their own check but also strengthens the safety net for the surviving spouse. Retirement isn't just about collecting money, it's about timing decisions that shape your future security. Claiming too soon can feel safe in the moment but cost you dearly in the long run. What age are you planning to claim Social Security? Share it in the comments, you'll learn from others too, and your experience might help someone else facing the same choice. The trap is real. The fear is real. But the solution is simple. Know your options, run the numbers, and don't let impatience rob you of the retirement you've worked so hard to earn. Question 3. Could you survive a 20-year pay cut? Half your income could disappear in retirement, without you even noticing. That line might sound exaggerated, but it's far closer to reality than most seniors realize. The culprit isn't reckless spending or bad habits, it's the silent thief that creeps into every household: inflation. Unlike a stock market crash, inflation doesn't hit in one dramatic blow. It sneaks up slowly, quietly slicing away at the value of every dollar you hold. What feels comfortable today, the groceries, the gas, the monthly bills, can feel suffocating tomorrow when the same check buys less and less each year. Think about it this way: a basket of groceries that costs you $100 today could easily cost $200 20 years from now. If your income doesn't grow with it, that means you're effectively living on a permanent pay cut. And here's the shocking part: many pensions, fixed incomes, and even Social Security benefits don't keep pace with the true rise in costs. The numbers may look the same on paper, but the reality in your wallet tells a different story. Oswald Greaves lived this firsthand. After retiring with what he thought was a secure pension and solid savings, he began to notice the slow squeeze. At first, it was subtle: a few extra dollars at the gas pump, a slight uptick in utility bills. But within a decade, his grocery bill had doubled, while his pension check remained flat. He wasn't splurging, he wasn't careless. He was simply trying to maintain the same life he always had, and suddenly it felt as though his money was melting in his hands. The retirement he once felt proud of now looked fragile. This is where the misleading idea of fixed income security breaks down. A flat pension or a stagnant retirement paycheck doesn't equal stability, it equals vulnerability. What Oswald learned is what every retiree needs to hear: if your income isn't built to grow, it's built to shrink. So what's the solution? First, diversification. Instead of relying solely on a pension or one source of income, Oswald explored ways to spread his safety net. He tapped into investments with inflation-adjusted growth potential, ensured part of his savings were in assets that had historically outpaced inflation, and considered annuities that offered built-in cost-of-living adjustments. Second, strategy. Retirement isn't just about protecting what you have, but making it last. Oswald began trimming non-essential costs, not by living miserably, but by distinguishing between what brought joy and what was simply habit. Canceling unused subscriptions, downsizing certain expenses, and adjusting his spending priorities allowed him to redirect funds toward experiences and needs that truly mattered. Finally, mindset. He stopped measuring success by the size of his nest egg and started measuring it by sustainability. Instead of asking, "Do I have enough?" he asked, "Will my income adapt to the future?" That simple shift gave him clarity and control. The harsh truth is this: if you don't plan for inflation, you're planning for poverty. Retirement isn't a 5-year vacation, it can last 20 or 30 years. And in that span, costs will rise whether you prepare or not. So ask yourself honestly, could you survive a 20-year pay cut? Or is it time to rethink your plan before the squeeze begins? Share your thoughts below. Have you already noticed prices biting into your retirement income? Your story might help someone else prepare for the silent thief that never takes a day off. Question 4. Are you protected from the medical bill avalanche? One hospital stay can erase decades of careful saving. That statement feels harsh, but it reflects a reality too many retirees discover when it's already too late. Seniors often believe that once they hit 65, Medicare will cover everything. After all, they paid into the system their entire working lives. But here's the hidden truth. Medicare is not a golden shield. It has cracks big enough to swallow your savings. It doesn't cover dental work, most prescriptions, vision care, or long-term care. And the deductibles, copays, and gaps for hospital stays can pile up faster than you can write the checks. For many retirees, this gap is devastating. Imagine working 40 years, carefully putting aside money, paying off your home, and finally stepping into retirement, only to see your savings drained by a single medical crisis. The illusion of security is dangerous, because while you're assuming Medicare has your back, bills can climb into the tens of thousands in a matter of days. Oswald Greaves learned this lesson in a way that shook him to the core. At 66, only 2 years into retirement, he suffered a sudden health scare that required hospitalization. He wasn't careless, he believed Medicare would step in. But when the bills arrived, he was stunned. Charges he assumed were covered were not. Prescription costs stacked up. Rehabilitation fees added insult to injury. In just one episode, a chunk of his carefully built savings was gone. He had played by the rules, paid into the system, and still found himself blindsided. The misleading belief that Medicare covers everything is one of the most dangerous assumptions in retirement. It's not entirely untrue. Medicare does protect you from some of the biggest costs. But the uncovered gaps are wide enough to drain even the most disciplined saver. Oswald nearly had to dip heavily into his retirement fund, which would have disrupted his income plan for years to come. The stress of bills weighed on him more than the illness itself. So what's the solution? First, supplemental insurance. Medicare Advantage or Medigap policies can fill in many of the cracks that traditional Medicare leaves open. They come with premiums, but those costs can be far less painful than a single uncovered hospital stay. Second, consider long-term care coverage. Statistically, many retirees will need some form of long-term assistance, whether it's in-home care or a nursing facility. Without coverage, those costs can devastate an estate in months. Third, build a dedicated emergency health fund. This isn't your grocery money or vacation fund, it's a pool of money set aside for the inevitable health surprises of aging. Oswald eventually secured supplemental coverage, but not before paying dearly for his oversight. That decision gave him peace of mind, knowing that the next health scare wouldn't wreck his family's financial stability. It turned his retirement from fragile to secure. And here's the bigger warning. Even if you survive medical costs, you're not out of the woods yet. Another silent trap is still waiting, one designed not by hospitals, but by the IRS. If you're not prepared, taxes can bleed your retirement dry just as surely as medical bills. And that's where we turn next. Question 5. Do you have a plan for the silent tax time bomb? Your IRA could secretly belong more to the IRS than to you. It sounds like an exaggeration, but for many retirees, it feels frighteningly true. You've spent decades faithfully saving into retirement accounts like IRAs and 401(k)s, often encouraged by the tax breaks you enjoyed while working. But here's the hidden catch. Those accounts are tax-deferred, not tax-free. The bill always comes due. And when it does, the IRS doesn't politely take a slice, it can grab more than you ever expected. At age 73, retirees are forced to begin taking required minimum distributions, or RMDs. These withdrawals are mandatory, even if you don't need the money to live on. And once those dollars hit your bank account, they count as taxable income. That means your carefully built savings could push you into a higher tax bracket, reducing the very security you thought you were protecting. Worse still, those larger withdrawals can cause a domino effect, raising the taxes on your Social Security benefits and even increasing your Medicare premiums. This is where many seniors get blindsided. They assume the nest egg they see on paper is theirs to spend freely. But the truth is, the IRS has been waiting patiently for decades to claim its portion. Without planning, you may discover that a huge chunk of your retirement savings isn't truly yours. Oswald Greaves faced this harsh reality when he began taking withdrawals from his IRA. At first, he was excited to see the money land in his account. But then came the tax bill, larger than he had imagined. Not only did the withdrawal raise his taxable income, but it also triggered taxes on part of his Social Security benefits. In 1 year, he found himself paying more to the government than he had during his last years of working full-time. The shock left him frustrated. He had done everything right, saved diligently, avoided reckless spending, yet the system still felt like it was stacked against him. The misleading belief that my retirement savings are mine alone is a costly myth. They're not. A portion of those accounts has always belonged to the IRS. The only question is how much they'll take and when. The good news is that Oswald eventually discovered strategies to loosen the IRS's grip. He began exploring Roth conversions, moving portions of his IRA into a Roth account. Yes, he paid taxes upfront on the conversion, but from then on, those funds grew tax-free and could be withdrawn tax-free in retirement. He also staggered his withdrawals, carefully timing them before RMDs kicked in to spread out his tax burden. And he aligned his income streams, pension, Social Security, and IRA withdrawals, in a way that prevented him from jumping into higher brackets unnecessarily. These strategies gave him back a sense of control. Instead of being blindsided, he began to anticipate what the IRS might take and made moves to minimize it. He went from reactive to proactive, from being drained to being in charge. So here's the question for you. Have you prepared for this silent tax time bomb, or are you hoping it never explodes? Because hoping isn't a plan. The IRS already has its rules in place, and ignoring them won't make them disappear. Have taxes ever surprised you in retirement? Tell us below. You're not alone. Your story might be exactly what another senior needs to hear. The truth is simple. Without planning, taxes can eat away at your retirement faster than inflation or even medical bills. But with the right strategies, you can defuse the time bomb before it detonates. Question 6. Who will carry the burden if you don't prepare? If you ignore this, your children won't inherit memories, they'll inherit bills. That line sounds brutal, but it's a reality too many families face. We often think of retirement as the finish line. Save enough, make it last, and enjoy your golden years. But here's the overlooked truth. Retirement doesn't end with you. What happens after you're gone can either bless your family with security or burden them with chaos. And the difference lies in whether you've prepared or left things to chance. Many seniors assume estate planning is only for the wealthy. They think, I don't have millions, so why would I need a will or a legacy plan? But this is one of the most dangerous misconceptions. Even a modest home, a small savings account, or leftover medical bills can cause disputes, delays, or heartache if they aren't properly addressed. Without clear instructions, your loved ones could face court battles, unexpected taxes, or the crushing responsibility of debts you never intended to pass down. This was the hard lesson Oswald Greaves nearly learned too late. After his health scare, he sat down to review his financial situation and realized his estate plan was far from complete. His will hadn't been updated in over a decade. Some of his beneficiary designations on old retirement accounts were still pointing to relatives who had passed away. And worse, he discovered that certain medical debts could have rolled over to his daughter if something had happened to him. The thought shook him deeply. The last thing he wanted was for his hard work and years of saving to end in paperwork, arguments, and unpaid bills landing in his family's lap. The misleading belief that things will sort themselves out is one of the cruelest traps in retirement. They rarely sort themselves out. Instead, families are left scrambling, sometimes fighting, and often paying. The legacy you leave behind is not just in the money or property, it's in the clarity of your planning. Oswald took action. He updated his will to reflect his current wishes, ensuring his daughter and grandchildren would be taken care of properly. He set clear beneficiaries on every account, from his IRA to his life insurance policy, making sure there was no confusion. He even created a basic trust to streamline the transfer of his assets, saving his family both time and money. And perhaps most importantly, he began talking openly with his loved ones about his wishes. That conversation gave his daughter peace of mind and gave Oswald the comfort of knowing there would be no ugly surprises later. Here's the truth: estate planning isn't about how much you have. It's about making sure what you do have goes where you want it to go, and ensuring that your family remembers you for the love you gave them, not for the mess you left behind. Updating your will, setting clear beneficiaries, and creating a legacy plan are simple steps that carry powerful results. They prevent disputes, reduce stress, and give your loved ones the space to grieve without the added burden of financial chaos. So ask yourself honestly, if something happened tomorrow, would your family inherit peace or problems? It's a sobering question, but an essential one. Retirement planning isn't complete without answering it. By preparing now, you can ensure that your legacy is one of memories, not bills. Because in the end, the measure of retirement success isn't just how you lived, it's how you leave. Oswald Greaves was dangerously close to becoming another retirement casualty. He had walked into nearly every trap, believing his lump sum savings would be enough, almost claiming Social Security too early, ignoring the silent grind of inflation, underestimating medical costs, overlooking the tax bomb waiting inside his eye, and forgetting that estate planning is as much about love as it is about money. For a while, he lived with fear tucked behind every bank statement, every medical bill, every reminder that what he thought was secure wasn't secure at all. But here's the turning point: Oswald woke up. Instead of pretending everything would sort itself out, he made the hard choice to confront the truth. He restructured his retirement plan piece by piece, building something stronger than he ever imagined. He stopped chasing a magic number and focused on stable, predictable cash flow. He delayed Social Security long enough to lock in a higher lifetime benefit. He rebalanced his income to protect against inflation and cut back on expenses that didn't bring joy. He secured supplemental insurance so one medical emergency would no longer devastate his savings. He tackled the tax time bomb with Roth conversions and a careful withdrawal strategy. And finally, he faced the emotional weight of estate planning, updating his will and speaking honestly with his daughter about his wishes. The misleading belief that retirement security comes from money alone nearly cost Oswald his freedom. But what he learned, and what you can learn, is that retirement success isn't about being rich. It's about being prepared. It's about protecting yourself from the traps, planning for the risks you can't see, and making sure your family inherits memories, not bills. The transformation was remarkable. Oswald no longer looked at retirement with dread but with calm confidence. He wasn't obsessed with the size of his savings account anymore, he was focused on the sustainability of his life. He stopped checking his accounts in panic every week and started spending his time in ways that truly mattered. Today, Oswald spends his weekends gardening with his grandkids, not worrying about outliving his money. He laughs more, sleeps better, and finally feels the freedom he thought he bought years earlier, only this time, it's real. And that's the real message of his journey. These 6 questions aren't tests, they are lifelines. They don't exist to make you feel anxious, they exist to save you from the silent traps that so many retirees stumble into. Answer yes to each, and you step into retirement with confidence. Ignore them, and the traps will eventually find you. So here's your wake-up call: don't let what happened to Oswald almost happen to you. Stop relying on myths, stop putting off the hard questions, and take action now. If this opened your eyes, tap like right now. It tells YouTube that seniors deserve real answers. Share this video with a friend over 60 who deserves peace in retirement. And subscribe to Retirement Freedom and Wealth Advice for Elderly, because retirement should never be about fear, it should be about freedom. Retirement success isn't about luck. It's about preparation. And the best time to prepare is today.